Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Transfer Testimonials. Today I'm here with two awesome transfers who I now call friends. Today I'm here with Emma Pittner and Chay. What's your last name?
Johns.
Chay Johns. Okay, so two of these awesome transfers. Go ahead and tell me what your majors are.
I'm a computer engineering major with a math minor, potentially a physics minor as well.
That sounds tough.
Yeah. I'm a nursing major, and I've already completed my minor, but it was human development and family science.
Interesting. So what do you plan to do with that?
Well, the minor wasn't planned. Being a transfer kind of messed with my schedule a little bit, so I just had to take extra classes to fill up to be full-time. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the minor necessarily yet, but I want to eventually become a care flight nurse one day.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Interesting. What inspired you to do that?
I don't really know. I have wanted to be a nurse since probably like middle school. My dad's work had a safety day, and care flight was there, and I saw them, and I just thought it was like the coolest thing ever. Like, and then once I actually got to know like you can be a nurse and fly in the sky at the same time. So, like, you're saving someone's life in the air is just, like, the coolest thing to me.
That does sound really awesome.
I'm super excited.
Emma, what inspired you to choose your major? What do you plan to do with it?
I've always been super hands-on with what I do. So when I was little, I loved building out of whatever materials I could find. And I loved working with technology in high school. I worked as a, technology assistant. And so I thought, what better way to combine the two than wanting to build the technology? So my goal is to get my degree in computer engineering, but focus on hardware engineering. So I would be working with the actual components of the computer.
Interesting. I could never do that. Mm-mm. I think I would get bored out of my mind.
I love tedious tasks, and repetitive things don't bother me. And so I thought that it would be it's not necessarily an obstacle that I think I'll face. And if it is, I think it'll be easy for me to overcome. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, speaking of obstacles, tell me a little bit about your transfer journey, where you came from, and why you're here, why you picked them out.
I transferred from Wittenberg University, and I actually transferred what I believe is considered super, super late. So classes started around August 23rd, 24th this past fall semester. I transferred and declared that I was transferring on August 14th. So I had a 10-day gap to actually get everything figured out. All of the transfer people here are absolutely amazing. I actually had a connection to Marcy. My mom is good friends with her mom, and so when I had originally looked into transferring, it wasn't my plan to transfer this year at all. It was actually my plan to complete this year at Wittenberg and then transfer what would be the fall of 2025 semester. And my mom reached out to Marcy just to get a little bit of an idea and be like, where are the steps? What steps should I look into first? How should I, really start going about it? And Marcy was amazing, and she said, I want you to come for a tour of Mount, and if Mount isn't for you, it's totally understandable, but just know that I'm here to work with you and meet you where you are. And so I came for a tour on August 12th and then decided by August 14th that I was going to transfer. So it was a crazy turnaround, but I don't think it could have been made any easier. I know I put in the work to make sure that I got all of my forms, all of, extra scholarships and everything like that needed transferred in, but everybody here was absolutely amazing and made sure to stay connected and update me on, hey, we need this file from you, or this is the last step and then you're all good.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely, I don't think it could have been a better experience to transfer in.
Awesome. And so you didn't look anywhere else?
No.
Wow. So why did you leave your other school?
They had some financial problems, and there was a discussion of them cutting programs, and it hadn't been confirmed at the end of July. They were supposed to have a meeting about it to discuss, and I believe it actually got leaked. So I don't think we were even technically supposed to know about it when we did, because I found out before the meeting, and all of the students, it was posted online. Everybody found out before I believe the meeting actually took place, and so they put out an email and was like, we haven't actually discussed anything yet. Nothing's in stone. Everything that you've seen is just a rumor. Don't really buy into it. But at Wittenberg, I was a computer science major, And what I actually planned on doing at Wittenberg was doing a 4-2 program. So I would be a computer science major at Wittenberg and then go to a partner college for 2 years after I graduated to actually get a degree in computer engineering. So I was taking the long road, you could say. And at Wittenberg, the computer science department wasn't its own department. It was like an add-on to the math department. There was only a couple professors. And I really did truly enjoy my time at Wittenberg. And I think I got a lot of good like memories and a lot of things that helped when transferring here. But I wasn't going to stick around to wait to see if my program got cut, and I figured if they were going to make department cuts, it would probably be the department that isn't its own full department that would be cut.
Right.
And I wasn't going to wait around and be told last minute, by the way, you're going to go get this degree, because that also impacted the other 2 years after my planned like graduation date. So I originally, like I said, was everything had already been worked out at Wittenberg to take classes for this past fall semester. And so it was just an idea of, I'll take all of these classes, but then how do I transfer out? Because I determined I wasn't going to wait around. I didn't want to be told last minute about it and then have to really panic about it.
Sure.
So it turns out that the turnaround here is I was able to, really get settled in here at Mount super fast. So I think had I waited and found out at a bad time, I still think that Mount would have been my first choice just because of how willing to accommodate and meet you they are.
Definitely. I also obviously definitely not as quick as you, but I was at my school for 1 semester before I came to Mount, and I was there. I literally toured Mount Union on fall break, and had already kind of made my mind up. Because I was 8 hours away, so I came home for this tour, toured Mount Union, and then immediately I was like, I'm going here. Like, my mind was already made up. I was here in my mind, gone from there. And so I also, didn't waste any time. My mom did want me to look into other universities, so I did. I looked into other programs, but I was changing my major, and I knew people in the major here, so I kind of already felt confident that this would be a good place for that major. But I did look into other schools, not willingly.
Yeah. I think one of the things that also really helped sway my decision for Mount was that they have a computer engineering department. It would take me 4 years at Mount, and I would still technically be in college to get my final degree through Wittenberg. And so that was another thing, was why am I going to go and stay at the college where it's going to take me almost twice as long to get the degree that I truly want to achieve, when I can just transfer here and get it in less time.
And how far are you from home?
At Mount, I'm about 2 hours away. Wittenberg was 3 hours away. So Wittenberg is on the other side of Columbus. It's in Springfield, Ohio, an hour on the other side of Columbus. And my house is 3 hours straight highway from Wittenberg. So here you take a couple of smaller back roads and get here, but it's about 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes, depending on what time of day. Did
you want to be farther from home, or did you want that middle ground?
Yeah. Originally, I had also, before going committing to Wittenberg, I had looked into Kentucky, University of Kentucky as well. So I looked at a larger school with the degree that I wanted versus a smaller school, and I liked the smaller school atmosphere. I came from a very small high school. My graduating class was 45 kids, so I could name almost everybody throughout the building. And so I didn't think that a larger school would be the best fit for me. And so Wittenberg was nice because it was far enough away that I considered it away from home, but it was also close enough that I could come in on a weekend if I wanted to, or if, it's Christmas and everybody's in, I'm not having to bag up to get on a plane or anything like that. Yeah. It was an easier drive, but it was also a tedious drive because it's straight highway the whole time. It can be really boring. And it puts a lot of miles on your car and stuff like that.
Tell me about miles on your car. Because I was driving home almost every other weekend. Yeah. It was it was ridiculous. It was really bad.
The 8 hour one?
8 hours.
Every other weekend?
I mean, maybe not every, but pretty much. I mean, especially towards the end. Well, and I told Lexi yesterday, my sister called me and she was crying, and because I couldn't be there, and I just had severe FOMO. And so I'm a bubbly person. I need human interaction, and I just wasn't getting enough of that there. I ended up doing, what's it called whenever you're the spirit club for your dorm? you know, like
I don't know.
you
I'm not
plan events and stuff.
Oh, that was just the RA.
Yeah, that was just the RA.
Well,
yeah.
We had like a club for it, and so
Okay.
there was like leaders in every hallway or something, and so I ended up like getting nominated for that somehow. But I mean, rightfully so, because I decked out my door for Christmas. Okay?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, severe FOMO. So I was driving home all the time. It was really bad. So I know all about the miles on my car.
I was going home almost every other weekend, I think, in that first semester. And then towards the spring semester, I would go home like once to twice a month, just because I didn't have the time to drive, so I couldn't imagine driving 8 hours.
Yeah, that's
When
crazy.
you are desperate, you'll do anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you're desperate, you'll do
That's
anything.
true.
When your little sister calls you crying that you
Yes.
can't do her hair for her first homecoming,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
gonna drive home.
Yeah.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
gonna drive home and you're gonna show up with Dunkin' in your hands and you're gonna do her hair and
Oh.
makeup. Okay, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna drive home 8 hours the next day. And that's just that. And so, yeah, it was. I mean, shortly after I got home, my transmission went out in my car. So it was like God sent that that my transmission didn't go out while I was driving, you know,
Right.
one of those 8-hour trips,
Yeah.
because I was driving all the
the
time.
time.
And I mean, I still do. I just like to drive, but
Yeah.
definitely. Well, let's turn the tables.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about, you know, why you left your school, how the transition was to Mount. What's your vibes here now?
Okay, so I came from Wilmington College. I'm from Wilmington. So that was I was like 5 minutes from home there. Which it was okay for the time being. But I thought that I would do 2 years at Wilmington and then do 2 years at Mount Carmel and then graduate and have my degree. So 2 years in, I meet with my advisor and she's like, yeah, we don't do that. And I was like, oh, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, great. I was like, I knew that right after that meeting, I went over to my mom and I was like, yeah, Mom, I'm leaving. Like, I'm not staying because then I would have to do the 4 years there and then go on to like nursing school. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that because I hate school alone. So I'm not trying to do more than I need to. So yeah, I came from there and then I visited Xavier. Also,
I have a friend at Xavier.
yeah, I visited Xavier along with Mount. And I liked Xavier's campus. It was also closer to home. But they were basically saying that I would have to start school all over. And I was like, yep, nope, don't want to do that. So thank you. Yeah, and then I came to Mount and I really liked it because I would say it's bigger than Wilmington. People-wise, like there's more people here. But it's still that same like small town feel. Like it's nothing too crazy big. But so I think it's like the perfect amount. And when I first got here, it was rough. It was rough. My family and I are super duper duper close.
How far is that time-wise?
3.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So going from 5 minutes to 3.5 hours is a big difference. And I don't go home often. So that's also hard just because like I'm so busy up here and I have other things like to do. So yeah, the transition was very hard. I was very to myself. I was sad. I was crying all the time, which is like, girl, grow up. But
No, but that's the truth. You're
Yeah.
allowed to be upset. You're
Yeah.
allowed to. The amount of tears I shed, okay,
Yeah.
is unheard of.
Yeah. But I have adjusted and I love it now. Like I've met some great people and lifelong friends, and like you said, like the transfer like admin have just been amazing. I know Christian has done a lot for me and I appreciate him so much. And then I just got to really meet Marcy and get to know her this year, and I'm just like in awe. I'm just so grateful for them because if it wasn't for them or a lot of people that I met here, I probably wouldn't still be here.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I've thought like, oh, let me transfer again. But like the people here have made it to where it's like, okay, I can do it.
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
talk a little bit about how you found that community, because I know you didn't find it just sitting in your dorm room.
Sure did not. My first semester here, I probably did sit in my apartment a lot, just because I don't really like to put myself out there. Once I get to know you, like I will talk and do whatever. But if I don't know you, I don't really speak to people.
I feel like I do that too.
Yeah.
It's such a trap.
Yeah. And it's like I feel bad because people are like, oh, she's a not nice person. And I'm like, no, I am.
You just gotta talk first.
Yeah,
and then
you just have to talk first.
As soon as you say hello, I won't stop.
Yeah. But what was how I found the community? I don't really know, honestly. I don't remember like the specific time. I think I just like, Christian was my transfer like professor for the transfer class.
Your seminar.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we just hit it off from there, and then him and I would go like visit his office every so often, and we just kind of built that relationship that's like, I know I can go to him if I have something, and he's so sweet. He always like genuinely asks how I am as a person, and I think that's
so
amazing.
Genuine?
Yeah,
the way that he can make you feel like a human being, and
right.
He makes everyone feel so valued.
Yes,
and I hope you're listening, Christian. I know he does listen. He does listen, but he just has a way to make everyone feel so valued.
Yeah.
without even trying.
Yeah,
I'm like, how?
He's just genuine.
I want to be like that.
You know that when he speaks, he means it. When he tells you something, or like if he says, "Oh, well, I'm proud of you and what you've accomplished so far, sister," or you know, "How are you doing?" You know that he genuinely means or wants to know what you are saying and takes into consideration what you're saying.
And he's the first person to tell you like you rock.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
you're awesome after you do get through those struggles that you told him about.
And I always think about like when people like I always say when I do say hi to someone, I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" And it's just like, if you really sit back and think about it, it's like, are you really wanting to know, or are you just saying it to say it? And
well,
also
if you work in retail.
and on the other end, it's like, are they genuinely going to tell you how they feel, or are they just going to say good and move on about their day? So I do like, Christian will be like, "Hey, how are you?" And then he's like, "How are you as a person?" And I always just find that so
I can hear
nice.
him saying that right now.
Yeah. So I just think, he's the best. But yeah, I think I finally found my place here, and I think getting involved, because I was an RA at Wilmington, and I liked it. I thought it was a cool way to like help new students and like get to know other people outside of who I would normally know. So when I came here, I definitely wanted to, I don't think I necessarily wanted to be an RA, but I wanted to do something to
like a leadership role.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I became a Raider Guide this past year, and I loved it. I loved helping the new students. I loved like being involved in like, you know, just, I don't know, being a student leader, because I have that leadership trait. I've played sports my whole life, so I just have that in me. So that was fun. And then now I've joined the TSO, so I'm excited for that. And it's just, I'm excited.
Anything you see on social coming up on UMU transfers is Chay over here.
That would be me.
So keep an eye out. We do have some events coming up. The transfer bash I've mentioned. Oh wait, by the time this episode is out, we might be done with the transfer, or done with the, well, you get the point. If you didn't go to the bash, you should have, and we'll plan something soon.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, we're a few weeks out now.
We are.
Well,
it's crazy.
Do you have any other student involvement? You were a Raider Guide, you did
Yes.
TSO. What's it like being a part of the nursing program?
It's different. Like, nursing is definitely unique. It's hard. It's very hard. You have to learn a lot. There's a lot of work in a short amount of time. But my classmates, I think genuinely, we all care about each other and want everyone to succeed. And I've gotten close to some of them. But, you know, it's school.
Yeah.
It's different than other majors. There's different requirements. There's different tasks and stuff like that, you know. So I feel like if you're not a nursing major, you don't really get it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's fair.
Good. Yeah.
Do you know Kelly Schwendeman?
I don't actually.
Don't?
I like know of her, but I haven't had her as a professor yet.
That's my boyfriend's mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and my friend's obviously mom, his sister. We just went to Groovy Beans last night because they had this music bingo.
Oh.
Me and Lainey, and it was so fun. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend. Well, now I'm saying last night, and it's not going to be last night anymore. I'm not used to that. I've been recording so many episodes like back to back.
Yeah.
But I love it because we're going to be scheduled out. Well, anyway, Emma, tell me a little bit about where you found community at Mount.
I think one of the biggest things was through band. So
Okay.
I did marching band and concert band all through high school. Wittenberg didn't have a marching band exactly. They had a pep band.
What instrument?
Percussion. So
Okay.
the drums.
Yes.
And I think originally I was a little bit timid at Wittenberg to do the pep bands. They had said that they had a lot of percussionists. It was basically going to be if you get in, great. If not, well, you've dedicated your time, but we're sorry we have to turn you away. And I didn't want to do that my first semester of college. I felt like that was a little bit of a lot to take on.
So you would do all the training and then not know if you got it. Kind of like tryouts for a team, I guess.
Yeah.
They didn't have, like marching instruments, so it would be learning how to play the drum set. Which I had never played a drum set before, and I was like, that's a big time commitment, and it's my first semester of college. I'm already trying to adjust. Maybe I'll look into it, and I ended up looking into it in the spring semester, and I had a great time. And so that was another thing when I transferred into Mount. I was thrilled that they had a marching band, and I did miss band camp because I actually transferred in like that weekend. So it was, the band director said, oh, well, we actually band camp is happening like this weekend. So if you end up like moving in early, if you would want to move in early, just let us know and we'll get you moved in. And I was like, I truly appreciate it, but that's a little bit too much for me.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did band camp in college.
Yeah. So I think it's the weekend before, like the weekend to week before you, like everybody moves in and classes start. Because I think it was like the 15th it started, I want to say. So it's like that weekend, the week before. But I met a lot of people. A lot of my good friends now are in the band. I joined steel band because they convinced me to join steel band. So
What is steel band?
steel band is steel pans. And so
Like you see in Louisiana? Like the,
you
know what I don't know, like in like big cities, there's people like, you know.
She's like, please tell me you know what I'm talking about.
Sort of.
I could show you pictures later.
I'll show you pictures later. But yeah, so I ended up joining the steel band. I'm in the marching band, and I joined and became a member of the honors band fraternity, Kappa Kappa Psi. So that's been super amazing too. That's like another little stepping stone of, okay, well, all these people from marching band, but now, you get to be closer together and form like a tighter community. So I think that was definitely one of the biggest like ways to become open and start meeting a lot of people. And that you all share like the common goal of, hey, we're trying to put this show together. Like you're all working just as hard, given they all worked so much harder than I did because I just kind of came in.
But you had to work to catch up.
But I did have to. That is true. I did have to.
Let's
work
be
to catch
valid
up.
here. Like you did have to work extra hard.
Yeah. But Jeff, the band director, is absolutely amazing. He was I sat down. I met with him on my tour. He talked with my parents and I, and he said, we want you to join the band. Here's like, you've got 2 different options here that would be the easiest for you to like slot into playing wise, so that way that you don't have to, because he had already made like the show pieces and everything like that, so you didn't have to, it wasn't a lot of work for everybody else on top of also a lot of work for me to catch up.
Yeah. Well, and when everyone around you, because I was in band too, whenever I was in, middle school, but I've done theater and singing my entire life, so I know a little bit about music. Yeah. That's what I did for my first semester at my other school.
Okay.
But whenever everyone else around you knows their music as well, it makes it so much easier to like hear and learn
and
what you're supposed to be playing.
And I definitely was encouraged to ask questions and encouraged to be like, hey, here's the snare line leader, here's the drum, like the whole drum section leader overall, and they all were amazing, and they said, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I think it was actually after my meeting and I had been confirmed to transfer, Jeff he sent me the email like of their list of emails and said, I think he asked if he could like give them my number to have them reach out and say a little bit about the band and stuff like that, so that way I wasn't coming in like completely like blindsided by anything either. So it was, again, we'll meet you where you are, please feel free to join us, don't be like afraid to don't shy away from it. If that's an opportunity that you want to like reach out for, then please do, don't wait.
Yeah.
So I think that was definitely one of the biggest things.
That's something I love about this podcast is that we get to highlight so many different individuals and so many impactful people on campus who like make an impact on transfer students without even knowing.
Yeah.
And like without even necessarily doing anything outside of their comfort zone. They're just naturally that welcoming.
Right. Yeah.
So I really love that. Is there anyone else on campus that, not necessarily staff, faculty, you know, we talked about Christian. We could toot his horn all day long.
Yeah.
But is there anyone else on campus, maybe a peer, that has made your time even more welcoming here?
Yeah, I went to my first Raider Guide, like the meet and greet or whatever for the new Raider Guides, and I met Brianna Sims, which she's also a nursing major. She's graduating next month, so congrats to her. But yeah, I met her, and it's a funny story actually because I was sitting there talking, like introducing myself or whatever, and then we go outside and do like sit by the little fireplace, and she just comes up and starts talking, and like I said, like I'm like okay. But then I eventually like opened up, and then like ever since then we've been like so tight and just so she's really helped a lot with that and like having that person up here. Yeah, because I don't usually have like a lot of people that I would call friends, so to say. So actually having someone that like I can trust and like genuinely hang out with and, you know, stuff like that is like really nice.
Yeah. It's so easy to have acquaintances in so many different groups.
I have a million acquaintances.
Yeah.
But friends, that's a different story.
Yeah. What about you?
I would say my roommate and then her friend group. So Ella, Zoe, Caitlin, Emily. I was originally I think the thing that I was the most scared about when transferring was getting a roommate. Because it was so late, and I was like, I felt like there was already going to be like an animosity type of thing where it's like, oh, I had this all planned out. I had like this room. I had my room all prepared, and then you moved in. I was like, oh, that's going to be... I was afraid that it was going to be a rough situation, but Ella was absolutely amazing. I was given like her phone number to reach out, and she was absolutely wonderful. And never once did she make me feel bad for moving in late. And it was great. I mean, we would go, she lives about half an hour away from here, so she'd be like, oh, I was going to go see my parents this weekend. Do you want to come with?
Oh, and so that's so nice.
So it was always like, she'd be like, oh, well, you know, I had this thing to do at my house. Do you want to come with me? Or like, oh, we'll go take a road trip. So we went, and there was like a little community volunteer thing that she like invited me to, and just a lot of smaller things that you don't really think about, like when I guess when transferring, it didn't really cross my mind that because of how quick the turnaround was, it never crossed my mind that I wasn't going to know anybody. Yeah. And so I think that was a good place, like a good starting point. And when I met Ella the first time, I also met Zoe and Caitlin because they had all been hanging out. So it was like automatically a nice little introduction. And I became like quickly integrated into the friend group, and it never once did I feel like I was like an outsider, just
wow, that's
like
awesome.
Intruding on the original four, if you will. Yeah.
They sound like really great friends.
They're absolutely amazing. Shout out to Ella and Zoe in Costa Rica. Shout out to Caitlin.
Oh my
and
gosh,
Emily.
Costa Rica, you lucky.
Yeah,
duck.
they're studying abroad this semester, so
oh nice.
I moved in, and then Ella said, well, actually next semester I'll be gone. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. But they're having a great time down there, and it's been great. We still like text and video call every now and then just to catch up and say, hey, here's what's going on in Alliance. Here's what I'm doing.
That's really nice. Yeah. So I realized I forgot to start out the podcast how I usually do. Normally I ask people, what is your favorite song or what would be your walk-up song? Okay. So do you guys have an answer for that? I changed mine today. Last week I said that it was going to be Bailando because I was coming from Spanish class and I was hyped up about Bailando. And now I'm deciding that it's Made for More. It's a worship song. Yes. And that's what I listened to on my way here, so that's my walk-up song today. Nice. I'm picturing the acoustic part at the end. Ugh, chills. Yeah. That's my walk-up song today.
Oh my gosh. I have no idea. I listen to so much music.
What kind of music? Just like anything?
I'm more of like a hip-hop, R&B. I like worship music. I'm not the biggest fan of country, but I can listen, I guess, if it's on.
I guess.
So yeah, really just that. it's just whatever I'm feeling that day, and I'm like, let's play that song.
Honestly, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I feel that. What have you ever been to a concert?
I have.
What concert? What's your favorite concert? Best concert experience?
Okay, I've only been to 2.
Okay.
But my most recent one, which was like a long time ago actually, was a Lil Durk concert.
I have no idea what that is.
Sorry.
It's okay. Someone who's listening might know.
That's so funny for that.
They're gonna reach out and tell us how silly we are for not knowing.
No, you aren't silly for not knowing actually. Yeah, I went to a Lil Durk concert, and that was...
Is that like a band? Is that like...
No, he's a rapper.
I was gonna say.
Oh,
Yeah.
a rapper.
I know
no
of
idea.
him, I
Yeah.
just don't know any of
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
I know like the City Girls.
Okay, yeah.
That's my vibe.
I don't
City
even-
Girls and Flo Milli. Okay.
Okay, yeah, yep.
I will bop to that.
Yeah. I really want to go to the... Sorry, not to cut you off.
No, you're
I really
good.
want to go to the Chris Brown concert, but
Okay.
I don't want to sell my left arm and right leg and
Right.
right kidney to go.
That would be so fun.
Yeah, I love Chris Brown.
I was gonna say I've been playing Flo Milli and City Girls in my car whenever my boyfriend rides with me, and it's all about like all of their songs are about like not needing a man and like being a queen type of woman, and I'm
Yeah.
like singing these songs, and he just looks at me like, you're a little too confident, and I'm like, who do you think you are?
Yeah,
Who do
I don't
think
need
are?
you. Do you not hear?
I'll take your man.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. And then he tells me he goes to work.
Mhm.
He goes to work and he's like singing Roaring 20s by Flo Milli.
Mhm.
And one of the kids that he works with, he's a train conductor. But one of the guys that he was working with was like, wait, I know that song. And they're like, wait, why do you know that song? Well, my girlfriend showed it to me. No way, me too. They're like singing this girl boss rap song
Yeah.
on the train.
That's hilarious.
amazing.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
I think
You
it's
crack
so
me
funny
up.
when guys get into like girl songs like that. I'm like, yes, queen.
Well, me and my cousin are the people to like bop to those songs like all day long.
Mhm.
And he's just like along for the ride, I guess.
It's so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would say mine would probably be something like I love 70s and 80s music, so
Mhm.
that's what my mom always listens to on the radio. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening. Sorry. He's not the biggest fan of 70s and 80s.
Mhm.
But I would say probably maybe some Billy Joel.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. That's probably what I would
Okay.
say. I've been listening to Billy Joel a lot. so.
What song have you had on repeat?
I love Vienna. I
Mhm.
think that's a classic go-to. I think the lyrics, when you stop and listen to them, are super, super... I know they were really relatable for me, even in high school.
Mhm.
So I think that would probably be my number one. Recently, I've just started listening to Half a Mile Away and Get It Right the First Time. I hadn't ever heard them before, and they've got like a catchy little like beat to it. I was like, ooh,
I'll have to listen.
Kind of happy. I don't listen deeply to the lyrics, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't exactly know what
It's talking about, but it's the vibe.
yeah.
I get
vibe.
that.
That's
Well,
funny.
speaking of music, this weekend is actually Vinyl-thon for Raider Student Media. So Sean, he's a transfer. He'll be spinning some vinyl. So if you're interested, go ahead and listen to that. It's 24 hours of vinyl. So they'll literally be spinning vinyl back here.
Oh. Wow.
That's why we have so many different. I don't know like the correct terminology.
Tomorrow, right? Records?
Yeah, so records. That's what I thought, but I wasn't gonna say it and screw it up.
Yeah.
But that's why we have so many records out all over, and they're all over in there too in that studio. But
Wow.
yeah, I've been posting promos on our Instagram.
Nice.
But yeah, shout out to other transfers who are spinning vinyl
Yeah.
starting basically I think it's at midnight.
It's at midnight tonight, yeah. Well,
But
tomorrow.
wait,
Wow.
you're
That's-
not gonna hear this until Vinyl-thon is over.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Well, if you didn't tune in and listen
Well,
to
yeah,
Vinyl-thon,
you missed out.
That's so funny.
Well,
Everything's happening.
It's okay
before
because
this is coming out.
I'm talking to Chay and Emma. They can listen to Vinyl-thon.
Yeah.
I will be listening.
And if not, listen next year whenever we promo.
Yeah.
I won't be here, but you can listen.
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. What is one thing you feel like you had to overcome when coming here? And with that, you can tie in any advice for other transfers.
Okay. I think I had to overcome the fact that you have to be uncomfortable sometimes. Nobody likes to be uncomfortable, being uncomfortable is challenging, but you have to do it. And I say that because coming here, it was very uncomfortable to like make that big change, and that did the distance now was like, oh my God, how am I going to make it? So I think just get comfortable being uncomfortable and just, you know, be you when you come here. I think that's something that I have really done here is like just being me. And I've grown so much confidence in that. And like, if people are going to like me for me, and if they don't, then sorry, too bad for you. But
I'll find someone else who does.
Yeah. So I would just say like, just be you and find what you like. And I feel like there's a little bit of something for everybody here. If not, you can make something that you like, you know? So I think just being you, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that's just life in general. Like, life is always changing, and you never know really what's going to happen next. So you always have to be prepared to just, I think, go with the flow and be willing to be open and accepting of what is possible.
Yeah.
And I would say, going off of that, I think that was one of the biggest things for me was I am a very logistical thinker. I don't always think a lot with my emotions, which could sometimes be, you know, not maybe the best way to think things through. But for me, moving to Mount and transferring to Mount was the logical step. Why I was going to end up rearranging my whole schedule at Wittenberg just to accommodate, so that way I could transfer in more classes to Mount. And at that point I said, why am I rearranging my schedule when I can just go to Mount and take the classes?
Right.
And so for me, it was thinking about, okay, well, this is what needs to happen, so that's what I'm going to make happen. And I think for me, I wasn't necessarily uncomfortable about it because, like I said, that's the way I think. So, and I had an amazing like support system behind me. When my parents toured, my dad was like, why don't you just transfer now? And I was like, Dad, that was not the plan at all. I was like, Dad, you're supposed to be, you know, but I think for me, it was also being able to listen to those around me too. And, you know, I value my parents' opinions.
Yeah.
And so when they were talking about it, and we sat down for like lunch in the cafe, my dad was like, well, what do you think you're going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I've had like 20 minutes to think. So I think listening to those around you, but also knowing that you're doing it for you ultimately. Right. And so if it feels right for you, then do it. Yeah. And I think one of the bigger things that I had to overcome was just probably being okay with making that decision. Because I had it was like a 2-day time gap between me actually like stopping and thinking and then transferring, declaring that I was going to transfer. And so I think one of the things for me was I'd never felt rushed about it, which I think was absolutely amazing. It made the decision easier, but also it gave me time to stop and think and also weigh my emotions and everything like that. So I think I would say one of the biggest things is listen to those around you, but ultimately do what's right for you.
Yeah. Right. I agree. Yeah, because you're gonna get opinions all day, every day.
Right.
So, you know, if you feel like it's best for you, do what's best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so glad that you were so willing to share your stories. Yeah. Thank you to Raider Student Media for giving transfer students a voice.
Yes.
And transfers rule the school on 3. 1, 2, 3. Transfers rule the school.